How long, O Lord? How long are you going to forget about me? Is it going to be forever? How long are you going to hide? How long do I have to be miserable and confused all day long? How long will my enemies keep beating me down? God, please listen to my prayers and answer them. Make my eyes sparkle again, or I'm just feel like I'm going to die. My enemies will say, well, now we've won. They'll be greatly pleased when I'm defeated. But Lord, I trust your love, and I will feel like celebrating because you have rescued me before, and I believe you're going to rescue me again. And I will sing. I will sing to the Lord because you have been good to me. Sound familiar? That's Psalm 13. A little bit of a paraphrase from the cries of David. That's right, King David, the one who wrote Psalms, the one who is a man after God's own heart, the King of Israel. Even he struggled in the midst of difficult times, wondering, where in my hell is God? I'm going through hell. My enemies are surrounded me. I'm looking for God and I don't see him. I cry out to God and I don't hear from him. God, where are you? You thought you were the only one? No. Think about this for a second. You remember in the Old Testament the story about Joseph, the coat of many colors. His brothers took him and betrayed him and threw him in a pit. And then he was sold into slavery and went into the house of Potiphar. Potiphar's wife accused him of rape, and they threw him into prison. And he languished there for 2 years. He helped the people around him. He even interpreted some dreams. And one day Pharaoh had some dreams, and the cupbearer and all these other guys who had forgotten him suddenly remembered him. And he was brought in to interpret Pharaoh's dreams, and he did, and he was elevated. You know, we know the end of the story, that he was elevated, but it was some 12 or 13 years perhaps between the time he was sold into slavery. You think in the pit, when he was sold into slavery by his brothers, when he was tossed in the pit, he thought, where are you, God? Why did you let this happen? This isn't the way it's supposed to be. I thought you were going to protect me. And then he was sold into slavery and thrown into prison. And even there, he helped people. He did what was right. He tried to be a light in a dark place. Don't you think he went through days of wonder? God, why do you have me here? This isn't what I expected. I don't understand. Where are you in this hell? What about the children of Israel? Some 430 years later, they were in slavery to the Pharaoh, and they cried out to God, deliver us, deliver us. And day after day, they cried out to God, and God didn't deliver them. Don't you think they began to wonder? God, where in this hell are you? This isn't the way it's supposed to be. Why don't you come and do something? I'm listening and I don't hear you. I'm looking and I don't see you. I'm trying to sense you and I don't feel you. Where are you in this hell, God? And then we have David. What about the disciples? We just celebrated Easter. You know, between the crucifixion and the resurrection, there was 3 days of hell for the disciples. We didn't think it would turn out this way. This isn't what we were expecting. This isn't what we signed up for. You were supposed to be the ruler. You were supposed to be the king. You were supposed to be the one who delivered us. And what happened? They killed you. Where are you? Where in our hell are you? This isn't the way it's supposed to be. The resurrection came. But maybe some of you right now are between the crucifixion and the resurrection. And you're wondering, where in my hell is God? Days of darkness and defeat and disappointment and betrayal, loss, death, abuse, losing jobs, sickness. And you're wondering, wait, this isn't what I signed up for. God, I don't understand. I'm listening for your voice and it's not there. I'm trying to find you and I can't. God, I don't know what to do. I cry out and all I hear is crickets. I look and I don't see anything but darkness. And God, I'm about to give up. I'm at the end of my rope and I don't know what to do. Isn't that what the psalmist said? God, listen and answer my prayers. Make my eyes sparkle again or I'm going to die. And then my enemies will say, ha! We won. What made the psalmist want to sing? What made the psalmist shift from despair to proclaiming that he trusted God? Did his circumstances change? No. Did the hell cease? No. Did the darkness lift? No. Did the sickness end? No. There's no indication that in this psalm his circumstances ever changed. So what changed? He took his eyes off the circumstances and he looked at what God had done before. He remembered what God had done before. Now, I want to let you in on a little secret. Abraham didn't have this. Joseph didn't have this. The children of Israel didn't have this. David didn't have this. The disciples didn't have this. What this am I talking about? This. They didn't have the completed words of God. So they had to look back on their own experience or on stories that they had heard about the goodness of God. We can do that in our lives. There are times that we can look over our shoulder and think, boy, I never thought that God would, but he did. Or we can listen to our friend's story, their testimonies about how God was faithful. Or we can turn to this book and we can look at the track records and we can see what God said is versus what we feel. This book tells us, never will he leave us, nor will he forsake us. What, you mean to tell me that in the midst of my hell, in the midst of my difficulties, he is there? Yes. Where in God is your hell? He's right next to you. He is in hell with you. Never will he leave you or forsake you. The Bible says in Romans chapter 8 And let me find that real quick. I was supposed to do that earlier in Romans chapter 8. It says, what can we say in response to this? If God is for us, who can be against us? In all these things we are more than conquerors through him that loved us. For I'm convinced that death, nor life, nor angels, or demons, nor the things in the future, or the powers of the past, nor height, nor depth, nor anything else in creation, nothing created will be able to separate us from the love of God that is in Jesus Christ our Lord. Nothing can separate you from him. He is there with you. What else does he say? In Romans 8:28, he gives us a promise that nothing is wasted and good can come out of it. God will use this hell in your life for good. Maybe it's preparing you for something greater. That's what happened to David. That's what happened to Joseph. That's what happened in so many cases. Maybe it is preparing you for a greater task. Maybe it is preparing you to help somebody who may be going through the same thing later in life, and you can say, hey, I went through that. Here's what I found. Here's what I learned. Here's what God told me. Let me help you. Some of you are saying, you don't know what I've been through. I don't. Sometimes it's easy, but yet there's even places that I look and I don't understand what God is doing. Why didn't God stop the little girl or the little boy from being molested? How can good come out of that? How can I say that God was there with them and he didn't stop it? I don't know. I can guess, and for me to guess is really almost treating your pain flippantly, and I would never do that. But listen to what I have to say. Maybe you can help somebody in the long run. Maybe you can get to a point where that no longer defines who you are. Maybe you can get to a point, or maybe you've gotten to a point in your life where, yes, it happened, but you came to a point where you set down that line and said, I'm no longer going to be a victim like I was then. It is done. It is forgotten, and I am going to build on that. Never forgotten. It'll always be there, but I'm not going to let it define who I am. I'm not going to let it color all of my decisions. I was this, but now I am this. I don't know. I can only guess. I do know he was there. I do know that he cares. I do know that he loves you. But I'm not smart enough to understand all the ways of God. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you had to experience that. But I'm here to tell you that God can take and restore you to something magnificent. You don't have to let your hell define you. You are a child of God. You are an overcomer. It's not going to be instantaneous. It's going to be a struggle. But it is a struggle in which you will never, ever be alone. What takes the psalmist from going through this to a point where he's ready to sing and praise God? By stopping and looking at his hell and starting to look to his God. Guys, we are going to go through hell. We are going through hell right now, many, many ways in many different places with this quarantine. It will not last forever. One day we will look back on this and we will be able to say, yes, it was hard. Yes, it was difficult. Yes, I lost my job. Yes, we went through hard times, but God brought me through. My resurrection day came. I want you to listen to a song by a young lady named Alisha Turner, who sings this song, Psalm 15, Psalm 13. Listen to this song.
I will confess some days I feel forgotten. Seems like you're hiding your face from me. I will admit that I wrestle with my thoughts, struggle with all of the sorrow deep. How long will you leave me here without answers, crushed by the words of my enemies? But I will trust your unfailing love. I will rest knowing you're enough. I will give praise, for through all my days you have been good to me. I will trust your unfailing love. I will rest knowing you're enough. I will give praise, for through all my days, oh, you have been good to me. You have been good, ever so good. Yes, you have been good to me.
Isn't that an amazing song? I will trust in your unfailing love. I will rest knowing you're enough. I will give praise through all my days. You have been good to me. Let me pray for you. Oh, Father, there are some that are listening to this or that are going through an unimaginable hell right now. They feel hopeless, they feel abandoned, and Father, wherever they look and whatever they listen to, they don't experience you. Father, please, please touch their heart and their ears and their mind and let them know they are not alone. Father, some have gone through some unimaginable hells. Hells that should not be wished on anybody. And yet, Father, it has dented and damaged and broken them. But Father, you are a God that is in the restoration business. You can take those dents and make them beautiful. You can take those cracks and mend them. And Father, you can take that which the world has discarded and make it and hold it up as something beautiful and holy and pure. Oh God, help us to look to you. For you have been good to us. God bless you. Trust in the goodness of God.